Hello, and welcome to the Reselling Report for today, Monday, April 6th, 2020. I'm your host, Ann Eckhart, and every weekday morning I upload the Reselling Report here to YouTube to update you on the day's retail and e-commerce news, including the latest from eBay, Amazon, Etsy, and Poshmark. If you haven't done so already, I hope you'll subscribe. And now let's get on with today's show. It is a new week, and it is the fourth week of the coronavirus outbreak here in America, with most of the country on lockdown orders. Not all, still not here in Iowa. Most stores, however, have really started stepping up stricter social distancing guidelines over the weekend. A number of the larger retailers, Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, Target, Costco, Sam's Club, and others are now limiting the number of customers in the stores. They are putting distance markers in the store between checkout so you don't stand so close to people, and making aisles one-way traffic only to decrease the chance of people getting too close to one another. The Surgeon General has warned that this week will be a Pearl Harbor and 9/11 level of disaster here in the country, with deaths expecting to peak this week in places like New York, New Jersey, and other hot spots throughout the country. So every week they say this is going to be the worst week. This is supposed to be like the worst week. So we'll see. We've already had three times the number of Americans killed due to the coronavirus versus 9/11. So a little over 3,000 people lost their lives on 9/11. We're almost at 10,000 deaths from the coronavirus here in the United States. So the difference is with 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, those were centralized events. This is everywhere. There isn't a city, state, or country that isn't being affected by this. So we're all in this together. As I keep saying every show, please stay home if you can. 80% of people who contract the coronavirus will not be symptomatic. However, they still can transmit the virus. So you could have the virus, not know it, not be sick, but if you're going out, you can transmit it to someone else. So they are advising now that you wear a mask when you go out to the store. Of course, only go to the store if you absolutely have to. You make a homemade mask. There's all kinds of instructions online to make them. You can buy them on Etsy or eBay. They're also now saying leave groceries outside for 24 hours, unless they're refrigerator or freezer, obviously, to make sure the coronavirus, if it's on anything, is killed, and to wipe everything down, which makes me I already didn't want to go out to get groceries. Now I really don't want to go out if I have to come home and wipe everything down. Like, that's it. I'm not going to the store because this is like getting to be too much work. But yeah, let me know if you're wearing a mask now, if you're taking any extra precautions with bringing anything into the house. Are you wiping everything down? Are you leaving groceries outside? I don't know what to do. So how are your sales? Whether you sell on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Poshmark, some sellers have seen a drastic decline in sales. Some have gone up. Mine have actually gone up because I've pivoted away from collectibles for the moment, other than what I have listed. And I am sourcing liquidation, health and beauty, and that is selling pretty well. It's hard to get to the stores for a lot of people. Things are out at the stores, and Amazon is out of a lot. So I do find that people are turning more to eBay for those kinds of things. I mean, it's not crazy busy, but I certainly have plenty already listed and a lot more to list. According to a survey over on the e-commerce Bytes blog that says the pandemic takes a toll on small sellers. So according to this article, the COVID-19 pandemic is having a negative impact on more than half of small online sellers, according to a survey of e-commerce Bytes readers that ran from March 29th to April 2nd. Asked, overall, how has the COVID-19 outbreak impacted your online sales? 60% of respondents said their sales decreased. However, 21% said their sales had increased, while 16% said they saw no change. 4% of respondents said they didn't know. How can you not know? Maybe their store's on vacation. Sellers elaborated in the comments section. One seller who has experienced a bump in sales said, "It seems to have increased, but I'm not sure it will last. There have to be a lot of people out there who are soon going to realize that they just can't keep spending money on a hobby just because they have time on their hands." A seller who saw about a 10% increase in sales overall wrote, "I sell auto parts, so it's refreshing to see people still wanting and thinking it's okay to work on their own vehicles. But another wrote, I think people are afraid of sellers sending a package from a COVID-19 positive home. I know I worry too and have cut way down on ordering online. The increase or decrease in sales sellers are reporting wasn't always consistent. Some sellers described an initial increase or decrease in early March, followed by the opposite pattern later in the month. One seller described their sales pattern as a roller coaster. What's selling and what's not? According to the article, they also asked sellers if they were seeing a difference in the types of items customers purchased. 24% said yes, 64% said no, 12% I don't know. What don't you know? Anyway, some items selling well, according to sellers, were puzzles and games, DVDs and Blu-ray discs, plumbing, electrical, home fix-up and repair items, bidets, expensive fine jewelry and sterling jewelry, that's strange, model trains, and Easter items. Items selling poorly included antiques, costume jewelry, party supplies, and handbags. The article goes on to say a number of sellers indicated in the comment section that they were seeing greater sales of low-priced goods as a result of the outbreak. Lots of games, puzzles, household, kitchen, craft stuff, and garden stuff, one respondent wrote. Another said, I'm pleasantly surprised that people are buying stuff that are not essential. I thought to myself that no one would be buying antiques or collectibles, but they still are. I am still selling vintage and stuff, although I have dropped the prices dramatically, but some of that stuff is still moving. Another section of the article that's titled Product Sourcing Opportunities and Challenges says, one seller saw an opportunity not only to continue their efforts to expand their business through diversification, but through product sourcing. I will also continue to leverage this opportunity to source more product for the future by taking advantage of the current declining market values and coupled with the increased amount of willing sellers. Another wrote, online buyers are still very cheap. However, I've scooped up a few deals to resell later in the year at shows where people spend money. On the other hand, some worried about supplies drying up. A craft supplies seller who saw an increase in sales said they were concerned because some wholesalers have closed until further notice. Product sourcing also posed a challenge for a seller who sources at retail stores. I am shut down as my product is purchased in retail stores and they are obviously closed. And of course, that is what hearing from a lot of people who source at thrift stores. Most thrift stores are closed, although I still see some are open. And I don't think anybody's having a garage sale anytime soon. In my area, the next estate sale has been turned into an online sale. So they're not going to have it in person, but they'll have it online. But yeah, we'll just have to see how long this goes. Here in Iowa, we would be starting to maybe see some garage sales pop up. Still, it would be probably till after Easter. But in this current climate, I don't think anybody's probably should be having a garage sale, and I certainly wouldn't be wanting to go to one. From what I've seen, it's safe to say that clothing resellers are probably struggling the most right now, but things like games, puzzles, toys, video games, CDs, DVDs, those things are selling really well. Now, how well will those sales continue, and should you go out of your way to stock those items? That's something only you can decide. But yeah, definitely if you can shift your focus, what you normally sell, if that's not selling, and add in some other categories, you can always source your own house for these kinds of things. Movies you're no longer watching, CDs you're no longer listening to, toys your kids aren't playing with anymore. Those are all great things to resell, especially on eBay and Mercari. And speaking of eBay, if you are in the UK, you can get a refund for your eBay store subscription if you close your eBay shop. According to an announcement on the eBay UK community board, where is this? I guess it's just their announcement page on eBay UK. At eBay, we want to relieve some of the pressure from your business in the face of the changing circumstances around COVID-19. We understand you need flexibility to stay in your business as part of the support we're putting in place, such as increased seller protection and the fee deferral program. We'd like to give you another option. We will now refund your shop subscription if you have to shut down your eBay shop for an extended period of time. Now, there is quite a bit of, small print here that you have to go into. This page will be linked in the show notes below the video. So if you're in the UK and you want to go over and read more about this, I haven't seen anything like this for America yet, but it does make me wonder if something like that is coming. Now, of course, eBay US did launch the promotion where new sellers can start a store and get the first 3 months free. So I haven't heard anything about letting you close your eBay shop, and you can't call right now. The call centers are down. But yeah, let me know if whether you're UK, US, or anywhere, if you've felt the desire, want, need to close down your eBay store, at least temporarily. Sticking with eBay, but going back to eBay US side of things, there is a new post on the eBay announcements board titled Advising You About Shipments During COVID-19. This post reads, COVID-19 is a complex and fast-moving situation, and we know it may be more challenging to run your eBay business now because of disruptions to your daily routines. As we've seen, this is not a problem that can be solved by one person or group alone. Government leaders around the world are taking action, and many decisions will lead to immediate changes in how or where you can ship packages. Our carrier partners are updating us daily. As it relates to shipping domestically and internationally, please keep checking this page for updates. We will inform you of changes to any services and how we will help manage buyer transactions and protect your businesses. Next says many members of our community have asked if it is safe to send and receive packages. You can continue to ship and receive packages according to today's guidance from the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the U.S. Surgeon General, and the Public Health Agency of Canada. We will continue to monitor their guidance and keep you updated. Now, I have seen some reports where they say, well, if you get a box, leave it outside for 24, 48 hours. The virus can live on cardboard and whatnot. I don't think they've had any actual transmissions of that because it is airborne. Somebody with a virus would have had to touch the box, then you touch that same spot and then put it up to your mouth or nose to get the virus, but I guess anything can happen. The next section says what you should do now. Communicate with buyers about potential shipping delays. If you don't think your orders will be delivered on time for any reason, let your buyers know and keep them updated with information from shipping carriers. Then it goes on further, what you need to know about shipping packages within the U.S. The U.S. Postal Service is an essential service and will remain open and operational in states or municipalities with shelter-in-place or other social distancing restrictions in place. To understand the service modifications they have made, then there's a link to the page over on the USPS site where they're updating about COVID-19. It also goes on to say both FedEx and UPS are operating at normal capacity. Both have been deemed as essential by the government. This does go on a little bit more to talk about the UPS and FedEx operations. So again, this post will be linked below if you want to read further. I do want to also go down to the bottom of the page where there's a frequently asked questions about USPS scheduled pickup services, so carrier pickup. This is something I have always used. I've always used carrier pickup. I know a lot of people are afraid of it or they're not sure, but they do have a frequently asked questions that you can go and read through. They've changed some signature required steps for all of the major carriers. And then there's a section about shipping internationally, although it doesn't say that they've disrupted global shipping. Yeah, it says there is a minimal impact on eBay's global shipping program due to both in-country and private carriers. So delivery times have been extended, and then it goes through all the countries to talk about the delivery times. There's a lot. But yeah, I think this was just meant to be an update from eBay to say, hey, we know what's going on. We see you, we hear you. This is all we can give you. Kind of the same stuff we already knew. But I always am happy when I see a new post on the announcement board, just so you feel like eBay is actually doing something as much as they can do on their end. We all know by now about the stimulus package that the government has passed to send checks of $1,200 to all Americans who earn less than $75,000 a year, as well as $500 for every child in that house. Above $75,000 up to $99,000, there will be a smaller payout. $99,000 or more will not get a payout. We've been talking a lot about that on the show, as well as programs for small businesses, including those who are self-employed. According to an article on CNBC, coronavirus loan program delayed for independent contractors and self-employed workers. The key points of this being that the Paycheck Protection Program, which offers $349 billion in forgivable loans to small businesses, opened Friday for borrowers impacted by COVID-19. Independent contractors and self-employed individuals must wait an additional week until April 10th. The program, implemented by the Small Business Administration, rolled out to much frustration and confusion. That's because a lot of banks weren't ready. There are two different programs here. There's the loan program, which there is some forgiveness in that for businesses. And then there's also some grants available under the disaster relief package. Been talking about this a lot on the show. There's still a lot of confusion. I don't know anybody who's actually applied for anything and who's gotten anything yet. Now, I did apply for the disaster relief grant that was going to be up to $10,000. I just wanted to go through and see what would happen. Haven't seen anything yet. I'm really not holding my breath. I have not applied for unemployment. I'm not going to do that because I don't need it. I'm okay and just want to. It's not going to be able to cover everybody who needs it anyway, so I'm leaving unemployment for other people who do need it. But as a self-employed sole proprietor, there is also unemployment available, so it's confusing, it's stressful, and this is the part where you got to remind yourself everybody's in the same boat. If you're trying to get on these sites and get some sort of funding or answers and you're not getting anywhere, the vast majority of people are with you. Every day they come out and say, well, it was going to be here. Now it's going to be there. Well, we got to work this out here. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath for anything. I'm thankful I'm self-employed. I have multiple streams of income and I'm okay. I know a lot of people aren't. So yeah, that is the latest update, but I will link this article as well as the SBA page that talks about the different funding options. Again, those will be linked in the show notes below the video. I don't think any of us are going to be outsourcing at the thrift stores or garage sales anytime soon, but if you have unlisted inventory or you just want to dream about what to be on the lookout for when you are able to get back to sourcing, Etsy has released their top 2020 home decor trends. So let's go through what Etsy says shoppers are going to be searching for. Number one is resin. Searches for refined resin on Etsy saw a 62% increase in the last 6 months, and it's appearing throughout nearly every nook and cranny of the home, from doorknobs and coasters to clocks and wall art. That is, maybe it's a different resin than I'm thinking, because usually resin is like this really cheap, tacky looking material that you see at a lot of dollar store figurines, so it must be a different look. I'll have to look at that. Burl Wood, which is made from unusual formations of the wood grain, Burl Wood is making a major comeback. So if you're in the market for a one-of-a-kind piece, look no further than these works of art. Number 3 is eco-conscious fabrics or eco-conscious fabrics. Probably eco. Eco-conscious fabrics are going nowhere. Over the last 6 months, Etsy saw 30% increase in searches for organic bedding, a 14% increase in searches for hemp items, and a 12% increase in searches for cactus silk items. Never heard of cactus silks. Number 4 is suspended planters. If you don't already have a suspended planter in your kitchen or living area, what are you waiting for? Searches on Etsy for wall or hanging planters were up 16% in the last 6 months. Okay, brief story. I was born in the 70s, so 70s and 80s. We had this thing in my parents' house. It was a hanging planter, like a rack. It went from the floor to the ceiling. It like had suspension, so it would stay up on its own. And then it had these spikes all around. It was basically like a giant coat rack, but for plants. And then we had all this hanging plants on those knitted crochet plant hangers. Man, I wish I had a picture of that right now. I don't know what happened to that thing. But anyway, I guess suspended planters are back. Number 5, bee motifs. Okay. Seashell Shapes. We're not talking about coastal decor here, Etsy report states. Instead, seashell shapes are much more playful and sophisticated. There have been a 31% increase in searches for shell lamps and a 14% increase in searches for shell pillows in the last 6 months. Number 7 is 70s sunset. Think retro color blocking sunset art boasting graphic lines and bold colors. This sunset art trend is an uber popular one too, with a 99% increase in searches. And finally, ancient accents. Inspired by ancient Greece and Rome, one world staples are becoming increasingly popular. So much so, Etsy saw a 47% increase in searches for statue or bust planters and vases, and a 36% increase in statues or busts. So while this article is saying what Etsy has studied, don't forget, these same types of items sell very well on eBay. You can sell home decor over on Poshmark now. And then, of course, there is always Mercari for anything home related. And with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap up today's show. If you liked it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and be sure to check out the links below the video. Everything I talked about will be linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.